All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Up and In Show. We are here at Cards and Culture on the Purple Couch. It's a little early. Usually we do my podcast 10:30, 11 o'clock, but we got a special guest in. Whit Weeks, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. LSU football player. It's the busiest time of year, so thank you so much for taking some time to come over and spend it with us.
Glad I can be here.
Yeah, well, why don't you take a minute, introduce yourself, where you're from really quick. I usually let the guests do that, but because we're going to dive into all kinds of conversation today.
Yeah, Whit Weeks from Watkinsville, Georgia. It's a little town just south of Athens. True freshman here at LSU. Early enrolled back in January. I'm on the football team. Play linebacker.
Let's go, baby. You hear that Georgia accent right there.
I know, that's what everybody says.
Yeah, well, it's so weird because I'm from Jersey. Everything sounded Southern originally to me, right? And it was just like, oh, you have a Southern accent. But now that I'm from here, I can tell the difference of like different places and stuff.
Yeah, see, I was expecting it kind of be the same going from Georgia to here, but it's totally different accent. Like the Cajun accent's a lot different, I can tell, than like Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi.
Yep. And wait till you spend a little time here too. You'll start like figuring out New Orleans accents, like Cajun.
Oh yeah, New Orleans has
different.
It's different than any other one I've ever heard from down here.
Sometimes like people even like my accent when I first got down here thought like New Orleans and New Jersey were actually very similar.
I know, that's what I kind of think too. It kind of sounds like a New Yorker. Yeah,
absolutely. That's so funny. All right, so we were kind of talking a little bit before the cameras came on, but talk to me a little bit about early enrollment and how that works, because that's really interesting, and I know a lot of people like to know how that works for football players.
Yeah, so basically graduate high school early. I had to get all my credits in by December of last year so I could come in January. And I still think that's the best decision I've ever made.
Really?
In order to get like the early playing time that I've been able to get, because, you know, learning a college defense is 10 times harder than learning a high school defense. So coming in January, I got to be in all the meetings and play spring ball, which really helped me to kind of get the basis down of college football. So then I come into fall camp way more prepared than, say, a guy that comes in May like a normal freshman would do.
Yeah.
I think we had about the majority of our class came early, really. 13 out of the 22-ish maybe came early. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're saying it's such an advantage, why wouldn't a kid, you know, they feel like they probably is it some kids just have to stay because they got to get eligible, or they signed late or something? I think like depending on your high school what the schedule is. So my high school was on a block schedule, so it was like a class per semester. Gotcha. But then if your high school is on like a 6 period a day where you have to take one class all year, then you can't get that class over with. That makes sense.
So I kind of got lucky with my high school being on block schedule.
Yeah, that is really nice. So literally it could be up to just your high school and stuff?
And like if you go to a private school, I've heard some private schools don't let you leave early.
Yeah.
That's like in Atlanta, some kids will transfer out of their private school after their junior year, go to a public school for senior year, and then leave halfway through.
If it makes that big of a difference, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
That sucks. I wonder if that like plays into a role of recruiting too, like coaches recruiting certain players because they know they can get in them early, get here earlier. Wow. Yeah. That's really interesting. I love learning that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you see a lot of guys in Florida, like if they go to Trinity's a big high school that always puts out a bunch of recruits, but they always transfer from Trinity to IMG because they can't get out early. Like that was the same thing with Clyde. Clyde couldn't get out of Catholic early.
Wow.
So
that's interesting. And like you said, it probably makes a bigger difference for certain positions and stuff when you're trying to learn defenses or packages, right, and everything.
Right.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, so you said you grew up right outside Athens, huh?
Yeah.
And you decided to come to LSU. Pops played for Georgia and everything, right? He played football for Georgia?
Yeah, center back in the early 90s.
Did it break his heart for you guys? Because you got an older brother.
No, not at all.
No?
I mean, no. He was totally on our side wherever we wanted to go.
I love it.
And actually, so he played with Kirby and Will Muschamp. Will Muschamp and my dad, worked together after college. They're good buddies.
Really?
So when Will Muschamp's obviously the DC there now, so when he was recruiting me, I'd go on my Georgia visits, and it was almost like a reunion for those guys meeting back up.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, so talk to me. If Dad played football growing up, you guys must have known. You said your older brother who's here at LSU. He went to Virginia out of high school. Football was a big part of your lives growing up. Did you guys play other sports too?
Yeah, so growing up, I mean, we did it all: basketball, football, baseball. But then my third grade year, I started playing lacrosse. So it was really my two main sports, were not baseball, football and lacrosse.
You don't hear that as much in the South because in Jersey, exactly. I grew up, it's huge up there. Yeah. And like all the colleges and kids play.
It's gotten pretty big in Georgia, North Georgia especially. Okay. Like, because Atlanta, we would always have to go into Atlanta to play in high school. But, I mean, we had a good time out there.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I loved it.
Dude, everybody that plays lacrosse loves it too.
Yeah,
like, it's awesome.
It's so fun.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I love it. Mm-hmm. So that was your second sport. Basketball was third sport?
Yeah, I'd say because I played basketball in middle school, and then once I got to high school, I really just played football and lacrosse.
I got you. That's good. Were you recruited at all for lacrosse?
No.
It was just a fun thing. You would go hit people and like run around a little bit.
Because I mean, leaving early, I didn't play my senior year.
That's true.
So I played freshman, sophomore, junior, and then hung the cleats up for lacrosse.
I got you. All right. So when you committed to LSU, was Big Bro already decommitted from or entered the portal from Virginia?
Yeah. So he was already here. So he played here last year. He got here in
Got you. Okay.
20. Like he played last season here. So when I was getting recruited, he was already here. Well, actually, when I first started getting recruited, he was at Virginia.
Right.
So I was like getting heavily recruited by them. Then he came down here. Started getting recruited down here.
That's what I was wondering if it started your recruiting process at Virginia and everybody was heavy.
Yeah,
you want to go
there. So Virginia was actually my first offer.
Really?
So West senior year, my sophomore year, he was committed to Virginia.
Okay.
And they offered me like early in my sophomore year after a few football games.
Yeah, just trying to lock you up early.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Okay.
I know.
Was it a dream of your guys, like growing up and everything, to play together in college, or was it?
Yeah, I mean, we've always both of our dreams have always been play college football.
That's so awesome.
And I mean, how awesome was it that we get to do it together? Yeah. Not many people get to experience that.
Yeah, and now you're doing it in the SEC for the purple and gold too. So talk to me what that recruitment was like, right? Because I mean, the last couple of years have been pretty crazy for LSU with their sports, with new coaches, the players that have come through here. So talk to me what it was like getting recruited by LSU and making that decision.
I mean, it's obviously like a top tier school. Yeah. You could tell whenever you come to a school like this and then you go to like a kind of bit of smaller school, you can tell the recruiting scale, like there's just so much more money in the recruiting game. Here. Like they take you out to the fanciest dinners, put you in the best hotels. Like everything you do, they just try to make it like they try to one up the next person.
I love it. Yeah.
So I actually got a funny story.
Yeah, let's go.
So I took all my OVs like junior year. I guess it was like May and June because I committed July going into my senior year because I knew I wanted to commit before senior year just to
take that all the pressure off.
So I didn't have to go. I could just come watch West play last year.
Yeah.
In the week before I came down here, I was on an OV to Ole Miss, and they took me hog hunting.
What?
Yeah, I know. That's what everybody says. Coolest story ever. So this was like one of the nights they were like. Because they knew I'd like to hunt, like to fish. They're like, you ever been hog hunting? I was like, yeah, I've been hog hunting.
Yeah.
Me and my cousin would go back home. But this, like, because we didn't have dogs, they actually like had the pit bulls running, and then I got to stab the pig to death. It was awesome.
Dude, what is that adrenaline?
Yeah,
I've heard that's such an adrenaline.
It was awesome. It was the coolest thing ever. So I was like, holy cow, Ole Miss! Like, Ole Miss.
We're doing this every weekend, right, guys? If I come
here,
right?
Exactly. So Ole Miss, I was like, geez, like this is awesome. And this was back when Coach Polian was here. So Coach Polian heard about that story because I was coming here the next weekend. And apparently he was like, guys, we got to do something better than the hog hunt. Like, we got to one-up them, all this stuff. So it's really just a game of who can one-up each other. Because trying to get, whatever the most memorable OV is the school you're probably going to pick.
Yeah, but you're wearing the purple and gold. So what was the one-up? What was the one-up from Ole Miss?
See, because I'd really say, like, the reason that I committed here, I always tell people is the people, the place, and the football. Right. Like, the people are awesome down here. Right when I walked in the building, everybody there was like, I could tell everybody's just like genuine. Everybody, they really wanted me to be here to play football. And then the place, I love Baton Rouge. I got on campus, I was like, this campus is awesome.
Yeah.
And then the football, I mean, obviously LSU football, the stadium is insane. Like, playing in Death Valley is the coolest experience of my life.
Yeah. And you got Big Bro to tell you what it's like too. Like,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? That definitely helps with the experience and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So what was your official visit like here? Since your brother had played here, was it anything crazy, or was it just like sort of just like, hey, we know these are the boxes we want to check for him, and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I kind of told him, like, because I've already took a few visits down here, and like they're like, gonna do the photo shoot and stuff. I was like, I don't need to take another photo shoot. Like I've already taken. I just get on the gear and smile anyways. I don't know any poses to do. So I was like,
no dances on that spin thing.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just gonna go hang out with the football team, like see if I like the players, because I really knew everything else besides like what the guys were like on the team.
Right.
So then when I got to like hang around them at dinner, and after dinner we went and hanged out, I was like, yeah, the guys down here, like my teammates would be awesome. Yeah, so that was a huge bonus.
And that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. That's really cool. Talk to me a little bit about, so I came from Jersey, right? And I knew I wanted to go in the South. I knew I wanted to play in front of a big stadium, a sports culture, the fans, all that stuff. Talk to me about the difference between the culture growing up and right outside Athens and that stuff and the culture here in Baton Rouge.
I mean, there's a lot of similarities and then there's a lot of differences.
Yeah.
Because, Georgia, they have diehard fans. LSU has extreme diehard fans.
Right.
I would say, because, I grew up going to every Georgia game. I was always in Sanford Stadium with tailgate. So I kind of got to experience that. And, I guess when I was growing up, Georgia was kind of like, they weren't like how they were now. Like, they were more like average, Like, if they made the SEC championship, it was like a huge deal.
Right.
And, their fans, they have great fans. They travel well. But, like, I got down here, and these fans, like, live and die LSU football. Like, it's just different down here. Yeah. It really is. Like, I don't even know how to explain it, because you just have to experience it in order to know. Because, like, Georgia has great fans. LSU has great fans. But LSU's fans are diehard. That's the only thing that I could say is the difference. Is LSU fans are diehard LSU football fans. Georgia fans love Georgia.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, no, they're not as extreme.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is the extreme, and it's like the love for their players too. I feel like I didn't go to another school, but from what I've seen and heard, even just playing with guys professionally and stuff like that, is just the LSU fans are so different. I remember when I first got down here, it was like my biggest culture shock was how much the fans wanted to take care of you. I was like, what do you guys want from us? Like in New Jersey, like if you do this stuff, like that means I got to do stuff for you.
Right.
And it's just, no, they love you guys. Like they just want to be a part of the team. They want to feel like you to feel the love and feel part of the family. So that was always the biggest thing for me. Was that. Yeah. I love it. All right. So talk to me about getting on campus, right? You go from high school. This is one of the biggest things that I want to talk about, because I have a lot of kids that are kind of getting recruited, that kind of stuff, looking to go to college, that listen to the show. So talk to me about like time management. That was one of the biggest things that I learned, right, when I got to school. And I can't imagine it's got to be even more for a football player. You just talked about your Monday. Most people think it's an easy off day, but talk to me a little bit about that.
I knew that I was going to have great time management when I come here, because everybody talks about when you get to college, you have no time. And it's the truth. Like, you better adjust fast. Because whenever we got here in January, we were already on an extreme schedule. Yeah. They help you out a lot. Like academics people, like they'll tell you where you're supposed to be at what time.
Right.
Then you have your Teamworks app. But, it's literally from sun up to sundown. Yeah. And especially once you really get into football season, like I feel like the first semester was like an adjustment. I got to kind of get in the feel of having a good schedule. But now that like we're in season, it's really helped me a lot, because now I'm like, we're really locked down. Yeah. Like, it's hard to find an hour of free time during your day.
Yeah. No, I believe it. And I think people underestimate what it takes to be a college athlete. So you were telling us, like, I was like, hey, you got a nice little off day today or something? And you said, no. You're like, Mondays are a little bit of a grind. So talk to me even about what Monday's like for you.
Yeah, I was telling him. So, like, Mondays are probably one of the toughest days of the week, because you don't have practice, which everybody's like, oh, you don't practice. Yeah, like, it's an off day now. Right. We're literally there from noon till about 8 o'clock at night, watching film, working out. So, like, the first half we're there, we'll go over the Auburn film.
Right.
And then we'll work out. Then you eat dinner, you come back. And then the rest of the night, it's all about the following weekend. So, like, we'll be going over Army once we get back from our lift.
That's so wild.
Yeah.
It's quick. And so I played baseball, right? It was like we played a night game, and it was like the next day you had another game. So It's like short memory stuff. For football, how does that work? So you guys play Saturday night, right?
Yeah.
What's Sunday like, and how quick is BK's turnaround? Is it like, all right, enjoy the win tonight, and then 24 hours, something like that?
Yeah, basically. So then Sunday we have like when we win, we have a victory meal.
Nice.
Which is like real good food, crab, lobster, all the good stuff.
Yeah.
You got to check in for that. Training room treatments, all the stuff. Make sure you get your body right. And then Sunday afternoon's really like your true off time of the week. Okay. So get to go home, watch NFL.
That's nice.
Yeah, and then right once Monday starts, it's back to the grind. Gotcha. You have your classes in the morning, study hall, and then once the afternoon hits, you're there all day.
You're up all day.
And then from that point on until Saturday night you play again, 24/7. Go home and sleep. That's about it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like I give a testament to football players, right? I didn't play a contact sport. I played baseball, and it was a grind because we played every day, but there wasn't as much of a physical demand, I think, as football between the summer practices, things like that, inter-season workouts. So talk to me a little bit about managing your body, right? You come from high school. Now, again, Georgia football, I'd imagine, is still really good football compared to some of the places that but coming to school, like the workout routines were the biggest thing for me. So talk about your in-season routine, that kind of stuff, off-season training. How much of an adjustment was that for you?
Yeah, a huge adjustment. Because, Georgia high school is pretty, top-tier high school football. So we would work out year-round. Like, we would have weight training classes, so you'd have an hour and a half of your day that was literally just towards football.
In high school?
Yeah, even in the off season.
God bless. That's so nice.
Yeah, it's like you got used to working out every single day. And then you come here and obviously you work out every single day. The only difference is the workouts here are way longer, way harder. You have to run too. But now our workout, so we work out twice a week.
Okay.
On Mondays and then either Wednesday or Thursday, depending on your school schedule.
Gotcha.
But then really just taking care of your body is a huge thing. Because, after Friday nights, in high school, Saturday you wake up and you're like, oh, my body just hurts.
Yeah.
But Sunday when you wake up here after like a hard game, you're like, holy cow, like how am I going to get out of bed? Like literally everything hurts. Your shoulders, your knees, your ankles, like just beat up.
Your position, you're taking a lot of contact too.
Right.
You're hitting people, right? And you're feeling every hit, I'm sure too. I just really don't understand that. Again, that wasn't my sport. I was a pitcher, like that. Yeah, I didn't have a lot of that in my life and my career. So, the ability to bounce back and recover is so important too to you guys. So that's why I'm always interested to see how you guys balance that, and then even too just coming from high school and adjusting to that in college is crazy too. So
you really don't feel like I remember somebody told me like. I think it was our first day of fall camp. I was up on like the training room getting taped. They're like, remember how you feel right now because you will never feel like that again for the rest of your life. I was like, oh, geez. Like, this is about to be – this is about to be intense.
Yeah.
But, like you really don't feel 100% ever again.
Yeah.
You start to get to feeling good about like Thursday or Friday.
And then it's just right back
because like Monday and Tuesday during practice or Tuesday and Wednesday when we have practices, you're like, holy cow. Like, this is going to be tough.
Yeah, and as soon as you start feeling good, it's right back into
back into the game.
Yeah.
So what about y'all's like preparation in terms of not mentally but just physically, like your prehab stuff? I know everybody wants to get treatment after, and you try and prevent yourself from getting hurt, but like situationally and in terms of position group, do y'all prehab differently?
Yeah, so you can always get like people are always in the training room before and after practice. A lot of people get in the hot tubs before practice, which, loosens you out. I never wanted to do that because I would sweat too bad when I got out. And I would lose too much fluids.
Yeah.
But then, obviously we stretch real good before practice. We have an intense warm-up. Like people said, like our warm-ups, I remember when my cousin, he also plays college football at a smaller school. He was like, dude, our warm-ups are harder than the actual workouts. This is like in the off season.
Yeah.
And honestly, you get done with the warm-up and you're like bent over like
that's it.
And then you're like, holy cow, we haven't even started yet.
No, that's a great question. It really is. Do you guys, piggybacking off of that, do they do anything when you first come in, like movement screen wise and say, okay, like, hey, you got to work on ankle mobility, hip mobility. This is like your thing that you need to work on? Yeah,
so whenever we first got here back in January, we had to go over to the Broussard, which is like the athletic training over at the stadium. And I couldn't even tell you what they did, but we were there for like 3 hours, like just getting tests done on us. Like all 13 of the dudes that came early were just getting tests done on us. Right? Yeah, and they'd be like all the EKG stuff, blood work, everything. Yeah.
No, I remember that. It was like you go station to station. It's like EKG. They'll take pictures of you screening here. They'll do this here, blood pressure.
Exactly.
Yeah, you just feel like a zoo animal. It's funny.
Exactly.
The Red Sox were crazy with their medical stuff too. So there would be times I'd be laying on the table. Somebody would be checking my like hip mobility over here. The other guy's checking my arm mobility and my wrist. I'd be like, there'd be 4 people with arms on you and be like, what's happening?
Right now? Like, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they're just taking all these measurements and like, they're like, all right, now you got to go do this and go do that. And I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah.
So one of my things that I always like to talk about too is, especially I came from Jersey. It was a whole different world of baseball down here. Mm-hmm. The SEC has got to be comparable to that. I know, again, Georgia football was a high league and high level football in high school. But what was the moment that you knew you're like, oh shit, this is the big leagues. This is the big boys here?
Whenever I got my first start against Mississippi State, that's because the whole week I knew I was starting. I was like, holy cow, like awesome. I'm a true freshman starting in the SEC. And my first, because like Florida State, I didn't play. Grambling, I got like a few drives at the end of the game when it was like 80-0 or whatever it was. And then that's when Omar got hurt. So then I knew Mississippi State week that I was starting, and I was like, holy cow, our first SEC game, I'm starting. Yeah. And the whole week I couldn't think about it because whenever I think about it, like I'd be like, I can't sleep at night whenever I think about it. So I just kind of put it in the back of my mind. Yeah. And then once Saturday hit, I was like, this is the real deal. And we were in the I remember the real moment that it hit me because like even during warm-ups, I was trying to stay calm and cool. Mm-hmm. And whenever we were in the locker room before the game, it was an 11 a.m. kickoff. So I was like, it's Mississippi State. I don't know what the atmosphere is going to be like. And the locker room was shaking from the cowbells. We were about to run out. And I just remember being like, holy cow, you can like feel the vibrations in the locker room because there's 60,000 people there with the cowbells.
Right on top of you, too. Yeah. That's so crazy. What was that run like? I can't imagine what that adrenaline rush was like, too.
It's awesome, especially playing away games. Yeah. It's a hostile environment. I mean, you got people just yelling at you, cussing at you. Yeah. Like whenever we go down to warm up in the end zone, whenever you go down to pray in the end zone, like they're still just cussing at you, yelling your name. And whenever
your mom's name, your dad's name.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If they're yelling your name, never look because the guys that look just get destroyed. Like never look whenever they're yelling your name.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, talk to me a little bit about, I'm sure Joe's got some questions for you too. He's more the X's and O's football guy. But, we talk about this and keeping a positive attitude. LSU defense has caught some shit a little bit this year and things like that. So talk to me what it's like keeping positive attitude even when the media is running with stories or people want to make a narrative of some bullshit,
Yeah, I found it a lot easier like to just not, because I thought coming in like if like our defense is under fire right now, basically. Yeah. I thought it'd be a lot harder to like, deal with that, but really like you really don't have time to worry about it. And I mean, we show up every day and work hard, and I mean, we're like, it really just comes down to execution. I mean, Ole Miss, we missed God knows how many tackles that led to big plays. Like we gave up, 700 yards of offense. 300 yards of that was on missed tackles.
What?
Yeah. Oh. Like we come into the meeting on Monday, and we were just like, well, sometimes, like, obviously it's the players, like, we just didn't execute to the standard that we should have executed to, Yep. Missing tackles, blown coverages. Yeah. When the running back swings, if you're supposed to peel with him, not peeling with him, stuff like that. So it really just comes down to execution and tackling. So then going into that week, we had three periods of practice just for tackling.
Really?
Yeah, like end of practice too, which you're already dead by the end of practice, and literally like the last minutes of practice we were doing pop-up tackling. Yeah. So that was a rough week. Yeah. I think then we played Missouri the following week, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so I think we were better at tackling that game with all the work we got in during the week.
Yeah, and when you're doing almost I don't want to say punishment, like training like that at the end of practice, like that's going to be in the back of your mind that next time when, exactly. You know what I'm saying, just thinking a little sharper in those games.
I think the thought process that goes into that is throughout the game, obviously you get more tired. So then by the fourth quarter, I don't know what the statistics are on it, but I would imagine you miss a lot more tackles in the fourth quarter than you do in the first. Yeah. So doing tackling, I think the thought process that went into it is tackling at the very end of practice is going to prepare us to tackle in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Makes sense. Well, dude, this has been a great chat too. What's kind of the focus? I'm going to let you get out of here in the next couple minutes, but going forward, you guys are 5-2 now, right? Or is that the
5? Yeah,
we're through 7.
Right.
I think something like that. This is gonna not air this coming week, but the next week. But what's kind of the focus going forward for the rest of the year? And obviously there's a lot of noise and things that need to happen and stuff. But what's your guys' internal focus as a team so far?
Just go 1-0 every week. We got down early. We were 3-2 at one point. I remember going to the Sunday meal after that. We looked at each other and we were like, all the guys. We were like, we're really 3-2. We're like, we're not a 3-2 football team. Right. Like something has to change. Like. we got to lock down on our technique and execute. And that's when it really we were like 3-2. Like the LSU Tigers are 3-2.
Yeah.
We're too talented to be 3-2. And then really like everybody, they've already counted us out. But if you look at it, if we win out, I mean, we're in the SEC championship.
Absolutely.
We beat Bama and we only have one SEC loss.
Yep.
We have the win over them.
Yep.
And I mean,
no, you guys control
your
control your own destiny. So that's why, I get it, and that's where I just the media likes to run with things, and people like to, especially fans.
Yeah, so that's probably one of the reasons why you just don't buy into the media because they've already counted us out, and I mean we're like, well, this time last year we were 5-2, right?
Yeah.
And then look how that season ended up. Obviously, we hope better things to end up for this season, SEC championship, but we just got continue to get better every week.
Absolutely.
And I can see, I don't know if the fans can see, but me personally, I can see progressions each week that we just get better and better. We had a slow start of the season, but now we're just getting faster and faster.
And that's it's not a matter of how you start off anyway. It's a matter of how you finish, right?
Exactly.
People always say that it's sexy when you start out, 7-0 and things like that.
And then you hit the little dip and then you're like, uh-oh.
No. Maybe you guys got slapped around when you needed to, and you guys make the fixes. You guys put the people in place, right? Again, I come from a sport that played 162 games all year, so it's like, dude, it's all about getting hot at the right time and playing right at the right time. That's it. So.
And in that situation where you look up and you're 3-2 on a Sunday, what's it mean to have, especially with a defense with so many transfers and young guys on it? What's it like to, like I said, look up, you're 3-2, and then have a guy like Greg Penn and Mekhi Wingo? Yeah. Like, how important have they been to the restructuring of the defense?
Oh, so important. I mean, they're the guys that obviously are the leaders of the defense. So whenever stuff's going south, we just looked at them. Major Burns, Mason Smith, all those guys were like, look, we got to lock in this week. We had a poor tackling game last week. We got to lock in this week and, really buy into what the coaches are telling us.
Yeah, and then you and Omar have kind of flip-flopped and, when he's healthy, he plays. Whenever he's not healthy, you step right into that role.
Yeah.
But I know he's an older guy, but he's also a transfer. You have the same experience in the defense, right?
In the defense, but I would say in this defense we definitely do. I mean, he's obviously been playing college football way longer than I have, which experience is really everything. I mean, he knows, whenever we'll be on the sideline during practice, whenever me and him are not in, he'll be like, hey, what play do you think is coming right here? And he'll look at the offense and I'm like, I don't know. I can't. And then he'll tell me oh, it's going to be a mesh route because it's condensed formation, 3rd and short. I'm like, that's really just the difference of playing college football for 5 years and then coming in right now. I still got to get I got a lot to learn still.
Reps. That's a great point, right? Especially just recognizing a defense or a formation, right?
Exactly.
It's like me watching a baseball versus an 18-year-old, right? I've watched a lot more games. I've just seen it happen plenty of times. So it's the same thing. I love hearing that though.
Yeah, and I remember that in high school too, because whenever I was a sophomore playing real varsity football, I remember just being like, this is the hardest thing ever. And West was a senior at the time, so he was like, dude, it only trust every year it's gonna get easier and easier for you. Yep. And I remember by senior year, I was like, this is easy.
Yeah, exactly.
I know exactly what play you're about to run. Oh, the guard's hands light, he's about to pull the running counter. Stuff like that.
Exactly. So, it's funny how quick your brain picks up on stuff, right? Exactly. It's like, oh, I've recognized this before last time. And it's crazy how fast it happens, right? I say that in baseball is a pitcher is throwing a certain pitch because he saw a guy's hands happen immediately. It's just, it's fascinating to me how athletes, athletes' brains just work so fast in the moment, especially linebacker. I mean, shit, you're what? Especially just even hearing how he said the guard's hands on a certain play, it gets nuts. That's crazy to think about.
High school, because I thought because I could do that in high school ball, I could be I know exactly which play you're about to run by watching film and stuff. And then I got to college thinking oh, I might be able to do it.
I'll apply some of that here.
And then you're the college dudes just give no tell on what they're about to do.
Yeah.
But I mean, Omar knows what they're about to do. So
yeah, that's it. You said, you're just going to recognize it over time. It's one of those things you can't teach experience.
Yeah, experience is really the best thing you can have, I think.
All right, last thing before I let you go. I always like to – I think BK is one of the great coaches, especially when we look up 10, 15, 20 years from now. Hopefully he's got a nice resume. Talk to me a little bit about what it's like playing for him or something you've pulled from him that you've enjoyed so far.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously one of the premier football coaches in college football. That's why he's coaching at LSU. They paid him the huge contract. But I'd say he really knows how to manage a team, manage like what players he has on his team. He can really like, especially recently, he's gotten more into the defensive side now that we were kind of struggling earlier. And he can really like get the most out of whatever player he's coaching because, you know, everybody has different talents, different traits. Maybe somebody's better coming off the edge than playing a 3 technique.
Yep.
So then he'll help them find their strengths and then just like exploit their strengths and make them the best football player they can be by doing what they're the best at, instead of putting them in a position that's like, oh, you're not that great at man coverage, we're going to put you in man now. If you're the best zone corner, you're going to play zone.
No, I love it.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. No, I say that all the time. Coach Maneri was my coach here at LSU, coached for 15 years. And if you go ask an average fan what kind of coach he is, you might hear a bunch of different answers because his X's and O's might not have been the best. But the dude knew how to get players. And that's like how you create a program and get the most out of those players and get them to perform. So I think that I love hearing that. I love hearing what players think of great coaches too. So really cool. Well, Whit, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Go enjoy a little bit of this Monday before you got to go strap it in for the rest of the day. But thank you for your time.
Dude. Yeah, thank you for having me.